It's Wednesday, October 5th, 2016. It's time for WorthPoint Chats with Harry Rinker. I'm Greg Watkins, the editor at WorthPoint.com. And Harry, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing pretty well. It's fall, although one wonders about that. I got notices from my insurance company in Florida and from the club I belong to that's shutting down the clubhouse until Sunday morning. And the insurance company said I should back down the hatches just in case something falls on my condo down there. So I'm feeling really good, actually, because I'm not in Florida. I'm in Kentwood, Michigan. Let it rain, as far as I'm concerned.
That's right. That's right.
Well, it's going to be an interesting event down there. I mean, certainly it better strike Central Florida and inland a great deal away. There's going to be a lot of wolf crying again down there. But nevertheless, speaking of crying wolf in the trade, and this is a big issue, because one of the things in the trade is a lot of people get stunk, because this is a caveat emptor business. Let the buyer beware.
Right.
And people always say to me, well, did you ever make mistakes in the trade? And I said, of course I did. And he said, how do you deal with that? Well, in the old days, I used to say that was tuition. That was the price I paid to learn the business. Today I say, nobody sticks me. I'll go back and strangle them, or I'll raise so much heck about them. They're going to give me my money back to shut me up. But the point of the matter is, in truth, that's really what you have to do. Reputation is everything in our business, and somebody mistreats you or doesn't treat you fairly, instead of try it, report them to the Better Business Bureau. Raise heck. And sooner or later, if you make enough noise, they're just going to pay and shut you up. It doesn't help the next guy, but it helps you get out of it. But right now, man, I don't want to live in California if I'm an autograph. In fact, I don't want to live in California if I sell anything autographed, whether I'm an antiquarian book dealer or just an ordinary guy at a flea market, because Moonbeam has struck again.
You're going to have to explain who Governor Moonbeam is.
You mean I have to explain about Jimmy Brown as Moonbeam Brown? I mean, come on. What an airhead.
I still remember I was living in California when he was governor the first time around. I was a kid. He was dating Linda Ronstadt, and it was all fun and games. But yeah, this new bill.
It was for him especially.
Right? Say that again?
I said it was for him especially.
Oh yeah. But this new law that they passed about the autographs.
We need to
cause a lot of headaches.
Well, it has caused a lot of headaches, and it's going to cause a lot more headaches. And the reason we have to talk about it is severalfold. First of all, laws like this get passed because the antique trade has no lobby. We have no lobby at all. And what this law is about is that California was one of the autograph centers for fake autographs. The FBI, big stings. And there's a book called Operation Baseball or something like that talks about the whole forgery game. And California was one of the big places for faked autographs, but not just sports personalities, all kinds of Hollywood personalities and what have you. And a lot of these people got really mad about the fact that people were passing their signatures off and getting big money. And as you can see, Mark Hamill here is actually joined the crusade to try to put a law in place that punishes people selling fake autographs. Okay, now in principle, who can argue with that, right?
It seems like it would be a good thing to do, is to force people to be honest.
Except the remedy. The remedy now is that if you sell an autograph for $5 or more, over $5, I suppose you could sell it for $5 and be safe, but if you sell it for $5.01, you're not safe. First of all, you have to issue a certificate of authenticity that the autograph is what you say it is. Secondly, you must save this certificate for 7 years. And if you bought the autograph from somebody, on the certificate, it has to provide the provenance about how the autograph came into your hands. Now, that's terrific, because no dealer ever wants to reveal his buying sources, so that's a big issue. But the point is, who has the expertise to autograph this? Are you ready for this? Not only must you have the certificate of authenticity, but you have to be bonded, so that if the autograph comes back fake, right, the bonding company will protect you from making a mistake. Well, I spent a good part of my life dealing with manuscript material. Okay. And I pride myself that I am reasonably good about spotting bad manuscripts and fake signatures. But would I sign a certificate of authenticity for any signature that I didn't see the person sign? Absolutely not. George Washington be darned. I mean, seriously, you got a problem. Who's gonna testify that they saw Thomas Jefferson sign something, or James Madison or Monroe or whomever? This is a nightmare, and it's a nightmare across the board. Right now, well, I mentioned the antiques trade has no lobby. Now the auctioneers have a lobby out in California. I don't know what they were doing. They must have been sleeping at the switch. And the antiquarian booksellers are fairly well organized, and apparently they tried to stop some of it, or at least some of the broad ramifications of it. But think of how many autographed books get signed. I mean, at one point, I had 500 or 1,000 autographed books in my collection, although all of them I saw the person signed them. Okay? But they got dumped out at auction. But now I still have a personal collection here. In the house, I saved some of the better ones, the Mickey Mantle one, the Willie Mays one, some of the other books that I have that I'm very proud of. And the situation is, if I go to sell them now, if I was in California, I'd have to issue a certificate of authenticity. And here it is. You ready for this? It has to be signed, dated, and at least 10-point bold-face type. It has to be a certificate. You can't do it in a piece of paper. You can't swear it. It has to be official certificate. It cannot be generic, pre-printed boilerplate paperwork. It must describe the collectible. Now, imagine what happens. You're selling something for $10. You got to describe it, right? And specify the name of the personality you've autographed, or specify the purchase price, date of sale, accompanied by a separate invoice for that information, containing express warranty shall be conclusively presumed to be part of the bargain of authenticity. Specify whether it's offered as one of a limited edition or not. I mean, and finally indicate that the dealer is surety bonded or is otherwise insured to protect the consumer against errors. Holy mackerel! I mean, who is going to do this?
I don't know. I don't have any autographs that would fall into this category. But say I were selling on eBay and my business was.
Why do you should mention that? Because I was about to mention that too. Say you were selling on eBay from California.
From California or to California. If I'm in Georgia, I'm not going to sell to a person in California.
Why?
If I can help it.
Why?
Because I'd have to do the certificate.
Do you come after you in Georgia? It's a bigger issue if you're selling out of California, where they can come after you if somebody protests the authenticity.
I guess that's right. Okay, so the California citizen who buys the autograph from me in Georgia, this law does not apply?
Well, not at the moment, anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the other thing is that and this goes into effect January 17th, so you better sell all your autograph material before the end of the year. But anyway, here's the thing. I mean, you got guys really up in arms, and the book dealers are up in arms. So I was reading one article here, and the guy says he sells more than 1,000 books a year autographed by local authors. Now, suppose, for example, forget the antique trade. Suppose you go into a bookstore, and they have an author there signing his book, right?
Right.
And the price of the book is $20. The author has to give certificates of authenticity, that it's his signature. He should know. He's looking in the mirror. Right? I mean, hey, I'm standing there watching the guy do it, for Christ's sakes. But I want my certificate of authenticity. I want to make sure he's bonded to do that. But this guy says this is a bookseller saying he sells over 1,000 books by local authors that are signed every year. Now he must have 1,000 certificates of authenticity. Then, as a nice guy, every other year, he sells books for the Humboldt County Children's Book Author Festival. And in 2015, he sold 165 signed books. Now he has to have 1,605 signed certificates for that festival. And he has to keep all this in a pile, organized for 7 years. They're out of mind.
It's a mess.
It's going to be a huge mess. It's going to be a huge mess. You know, in a way, I am sympathetic with Mark Hamill. I am sympathetic with all the people that have gotten stung buying lousy autographs. And besides that, in our trade, if it has a certificate of authenticity, that stinks to high heaven to begin with, because nobody in our business trusts certificates of authenticity. I mean, no, seriously. When I was teaching, when I was teaching the authenticating course, what did I say about certificates of authenticity? Don't trust a damn one of them, right?
That's right.
So here we are. The government is now trying to force a totally qualified document on people. But hey, it's California.
That's right. So autographs from California
and it's Governor Moon.
Plates from the Danbury Mint are going to have certificates of authenticity.
Well, again, you know, goes back to that. I suppose the next step is to when people say limited edition, although those idiotic things do have certificates of authenticity, most of which are meaningless too. But the situation is, this isn't funny. This is not funny. I mean, what's going to happen? It's going to go up in smoke right now, as it is now all over the trade. We're talking about it. What's going to happen in 3-4 months? You know, I don't know. I don't know if they can get it reversed, but there better be somebody in the California legislature that collects that they can talk to out there, because if they can't, they're in big trouble. I'm serious. Big trouble. I mean, this is not. I can't wait till Main Antique Digest gets its hands on this one. They'll love this one.
Yeah.
But its implications are huge. Well, now, I don't know if you remember, but back maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s, there were a lot of jewelry thefts. And so the state of Maryland passed a law that said all jewelry has to be documented. How you purchased it. You have to keep a record. If you purchase it, you can't sell it for 6 months. And so, you know, people that came to antique shows in Maryland to try to sell jewelry, they just hit up against the law. They finally got that one changed to allow the antique trade to deal with it. Well, we're rambling on here, but the point of the matter is, are there issues you'd like us to talk about on there? Trust me, I got an opinion on everything. You may not like it, but I have an opinion on everything. Send your questions to WorthPoint. Community at WorthPoint.com. Community at WorthPoint.com. I mean, we love doing these chats. I love doing these chats. We do them on a regular basis, and we're always looking for subject matter to discuss. So why don't you send us something that's on your mind? Ask us to talk about it. We'd love to do that. You could also send us pictures of objects, and so what we're going to do is go right from this slide, community at WorthPoint.com, and talk about an object that did come into us to talk about, right?
Right.
Okay. This is from one of our WorthPoint Chats with Harry listeners, and this is from Susan. She says, "Hi, I have a collection of 40 Japanese woodblock prints that I purchased at a garage sale for $20. They're all in excellent condition. Not sure of the value. Any info would be appreciated." Well, here you go. First of all, we know they're worth $20, right? Because she paid it.
That's the going rate right now.
That's the rate. So, you know, and you know, come on, at 40 prints for $20, that's 50 cents a piece, right?
That's a good deal.
I think so too. I mean, first of all, they're decorative, so they're, you know, even in this condition, you might get $1 or $2 a piece for what they are. But what they are is not expensive or really high-end prints. These are portfolios that were sold to GIs that were stationed in Japan, Okinawa, the Far East, immediately after the war. They were extremely popular with occupation troops in the 50s. And you can tell that because of the way they're marked. Now, you can see on this print that we have up on the screen in the lower right are so-called chop marks. But those chop marks really are not really high-end chop marks. They're just there for nice almost. These prints were often copies of older prints and done, and their sole value was decorative. I mean, they were cheap when they were bought, They were meant to be taken home and tried. Now, you have to be careful because sometimes some of these things will translate into the names of high-end printmakers like Hiroshige, and some of the other ones. And don't be fooled by them. The other thing, too, is you can take a look at the paper. And this is another a good example. This is a typed set of things describing one of the prints I think we saw, right?
Yes, it's talking about the Chilly Starry Night, which was this one.
Yeah, that's right. And so what happens is that this is another clear indication that these are not high-end art prints, that they're just decorative prints. Now, do I think she got a good deal at $20? I sure think she did. They look in good shape, right? They don't seem to have any foxings or problems with them. I mean, is the album worth $100? No. But that would only be $2.50 a print. But, is it worth $35 to $50? Maybe. The other problem is that this is one of those antiques and collectibles whose value is regional based. If you have it in San Francisco, it's worth one thing. If you have it in Green Bay, Wisconsin, it's worth something entirely different. We don't have a lot of Oriental collectors out there, right?
Right.
That was a politically incorrect statement. No, we don't have Oriental art anymore in the antique trade.
Nope.
Forbidden. We don't have
Asian.
Oriental rugs anymore in the antique trade. Forbidden term. We have Asian carpets. I mean, come on. Get a life. The Orient's the Orient, whether you like it or not. But anyway, no, but these are it's now called Asian art. And this is the political correct terminology. And, we might as well, to some degree, honor it. But come on, a Japanese print's a Japanese print, a Chinese print's a Chinese print, and China and Japan are in the Orient. So I don't know what the problem is. But that's a Western term. Here's a quiz for you.
It may be an Occidental problem.
Yes, pun intended. Here's one of those quizzes. And what do the Japanese call their homeland?
I don't remember.
Yes, you do. Think. Nippon.
Nippon, right.
Yes, that's why we won't go into Nippon jokes, which there are a lot of them.
Yeah.
But the point is that, this is one of the things about people are sensitive to Western spellings. I mean, that's one of the fun things about going to Europe and going somewhere because every country has a different name. Like Venice is Venice, but it's Venezia. And let's see, what is it? Venezia in Italian, but Venedig in German.
Okay.
You can't tell the town without a scorecard. No, did you ever run into that while you were overseas? Come on.
Yeah. You get your English spelling, and then when you get to Europe, you can't find that word anywhere, and you get lost.
Well, I'll tell you what, the people in Florida are crazy. Now, my wife belongs to the AAUW. You know what that is, the American Association of University Women. Here comes a warning. Due to the hurricane, we have decided to cancel Saturday's meeting. If possible, try to reschedule. Watch for further emails. Be safe. Man, I'll tell you, they're hunkering down in Florida.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You know what, though? This might be an interesting time to talk about what precautions can you take for your antiques and collectibles, right?
Yes, that's right. You just have them.
In a hurricane, the biggest damage, you think the biggest damage is water, and it is, but wind is a huge problem. If you have stuff on shelves, check to make sure they're secure, or better yet, get the stuff off the shelves and put it on the floor. So if they're
put them in plastic bins, so in case the water comes in.
That too. And I want to mention, if for some reason, and this doesn't make a difference whether you're in a hurricane or not, but if your pipes burst in your house, on my website, harryrinker.com, under I think it's my series columns or column series, there is a 4-part column series about how to save things that got soaked by floodwaters or water damage, what you can do to salvage stuff. So it's whether it's a flood or a hurricane or just a burst pipe, it just pains me to go into an area and see these big dumpsters with rugs and all the family photos thrown in there and stuff. There are things you can do to save some of this stuff, paper and other things. And I have these 4 columns up on my website. In fact, I'll have to get my thing up here and see what link it's on. Oh, Rinker on Collectible Special Series columns on my website homepage. If you click on that, what happens is up comes a series. That's kind of what happened to all my stuff when I die. Forget that one. But way down there, dealing with water damage with special emphasis on flood damage. So, I mean, there's the columns, 4 great columns on there. And look, you know, it really is this. It's your family stuff. You know, if the sump pump backs up in your basement and floods the basement, you got the same issues. I mean, it doesn't change, really. And so, you know, it's there. But before you get, you know, in a mess about this, understand there are things you can do. Now, you have to act quickly. You can't wait for a day for it to dry out. And, you know, water isn't as bad as flooding, which has mud and all that other muck in it as well. But nevertheless, it's there. All right. Well, okay. Now, for the next pictures, here you are.
All right. Let me get back to them.
Yes.
All right.
I got an email from somebody who said, I have a bunch of plaques that look kind of like deer heads. Okay. And here they are. And I knew exactly what they were because I see them in Europe. In Europe, they don't get very big. And so what they usually do is when they take the skull and the horns and mount them on a plaque. But this is a special type of animal called the chamois. And it's native to the Alps, down in Italy and some other places. And they shoot them. Now, normally, it's very unusual to find a situation where they've actually carved the head of the animal and then put the horns that they took from the one they shot, stuck it on them, okay? Now, when you look at these things, they're really, they've got some age to them. I mean, the base of which they're mounted has very much of a, you know, the Black Forest cuckoo clock look, you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has kind of the Black Forest cuckoo clock look. And every once in a while in that bottom medallion where you just see the raised circular thing, oftentimes in that shield is painted the name of the hunter and the date and the location where the animal was shot. But these are really neat because they have the carved head on there. Now, the problem is, who would buy them? Man, if I bought them and brought them home, my wife would tell me where to put them. I'll tell you that. But yet, you have to confess, they're great conversation pieces. Now, the question is, are they $100 conversation pieces? No. But they're $35, $45 conversation pieces, maybe even a little bit more. But if, you know, the group of 3, you got to be worth 100 to 100 and a quarter, I would think, at least in there. The tragedy is that they come with no provenance again. You don't know how old they are. Well, you know they're going to be pushing 100 years old at this point. Maybe, I mean, the latest 20s and 30s. You know that they're Southern German or Italian or some of the other areas over in there where these deers are located. How they got over here, the person that sent the information to me didn't have any provenance on them. He got them, inherited them, and he is now stuck with them. But they're just fun. I mean, they are just fun. I mean, I was tempted. You know, I'm really tempted to buy things, but this time I was ready to say to him, "Look, if you can't get rid of them anywhere else, give me a call." But no, aren't they neat?
They are neat, and
neat is a value. Seriously. You know, I have a collection of some neat things. Not that they're worth a lot of money, but you can't look at them without saying, that's neat. And I like things like that. I like neat things.
Well, if he's looking to sell them, he needs to find a German restaurant or brew pub or something that wants to go with the Black Forest look.
Well, the thing about it is, here you see the perceptions of geographic and nationalism. You know, in America, we stuff the whole head. You know, a big deer head with antlers. I mean, pinky little antlers like that would mean nothing. in the States. I mean, whether you stuff a fish or stuff a moose head. Did I ever tell you my moose head story?
No, I've not heard
well,
of
what
it.
happened was I do consulting work for insurance companies from time to time. And a fellow inherited a trophy moose head from his relative. And he had a fire. And the moose head got singed, and the one antler fell off. Got singed on one side of the face, and the antler fell off.
Yes, right.
So he filed a claim with the insurance company for 2 hunting trips to Alaska, so he could go shoot another trophy moose and have it stuffed. So the insurance called me up because there was a lot of money involved. And, hey, come on, 2 moose hunting trips to Alaska is a lot of money. And no guarantee you're going to get a trophy moose either. And even if you got a trophy moose, stuff in the darn head is a lot of money, too. So the insurance company called me up and said, well, what are we going to do about this? And I said, well, does it say you can replace it with a like object? And they said, yes, it does. And I said, well, it just so happens I knew a museum in Texas that were selling 2 trophy moose heads. I said, I'll call them up and see what they want. Now, the other problem is you probably have no idea how to determine whether a moose head horns are trophy or not horn. You would think it would just be on the size of the horns, like this. But yes. No, the nose has to be a certain size too. You can have big horns, but you can have a big horns and a small nose, and you're out, man. So anyway, I called up the museum, and I said, hey, I hear you got a couple of trophy moose heads. Yes. I said, what do you want for these? They said, $250. I said, is that for the pair or what? They said, no, that's for one. I called up the insurance company, and I said, hey, for $250 in shipping, we can give the guy his own moose head. He settled for $100. He didn't want another moose head. Maybe that in a bottle of epoxy so he could glue the horn back on the singed head. I have no idea.
Yeah, no, he just wanted the trip. He wanted the experience.
Well, but it goes around. Why are we telling this story? Because I'm full of useful tips later. When you have an insurance policy that involves replacement value, right?
Yes.
You need to read it very carefully to see if it says replace it with a similar or like object. Because if it does, that means that if your object is damaged beyond repair, right?
Yes.
They may go out and buy a new one instead of fix the old one. I had a wonderful example of that. I called in after a fire in a home, and there was a tall case clock that got burned pretty badly. I mean, the case was really charred and works weren't in great shape. Okay. So the guy files for a total loss of his clock, right? Total loss.
What about the works?
The other thing is, if you file for total loss, the insurance company can take what's left.
Yes.
But there wasn't a lot left, so I said to the insurance, don't worry about it. So finally, the insurance company said, Harry, we want you to go into the guy's house and see what he may have done after the fire. I go in, and there's the clock completely restored. I said, well, I guess it's not a total loss anymore. So I didn't pay that part of the claim. But that's another thing, too, about insurance claims, and this is where it gets tricky. Suppose you have a fire or something, and you have, 50, let's say 50 objects destroyed. So you call an appraiser in, or you draw up an appraiser, and you file a claim with the insurance company, right? So the insurance company comes to me and says, hey, Harry, would you review the values put on this claim, right? And I say, okay, I'll be glad to do that. How many values must I find that are incorrect to dispute the entire claim? One value. Yeah. If one value is wrong, the entire claim is called into question. Now, I tell the insurance companies right up front, look, estimating value of antiques and collectibles isn't an exact science. I said, if all of them are close and there's one mistake, you're going to pay the claim if I have anything to say about it. I mean, if I find 25 mistakes out of 50, that's a whole nother matter. But, come on, you got to be fair about this. But I mean, I have gotten, we won't go into my insurance claim stories, but I've had some colorful moments with that too. But no, it's important for people to understand that if you're going to have these policies, who reads their insurance policies? Seriously, who does read it? I have this we live in a condo in Florida, so you insure the things inside your condo. And I have to confess, I didn't read the policy. I just pay the money every year. Maybe I should do that. Because, the old assumption is that antiques and collectibles are covered, but they're not always covered. Sometimes they're excluded. In fact, that could be a subject of another discussion about insuring antiques.
Could be. And it also may have some differences on if it's hurricane damaged as opposed to just burst pipes. Right?
Yes, exactly, because sometimes flood damage isn't covered.
Yeah, and in California, you have to have separate earthquake insurance.
You do. That's right. And by the way, I'm not sure why we're going to transition to the next subject, but WorthPoint is on a mission right now, and we need to talk a little bit about that before we end.
That's right. So WorthPoint is in the process of we're researching, or we're trying to find out if people are interested in purchasing shares of WorthPoint.
Well, this is a new way of getting money to support business. It's called crowdsourcing, isn't it? Or
it is, yeah. So we are going. WorthPoint will be offering the ability for people to buy shares of WorthPoint, and so we're in the testing the water stage. And if anybody is interested in doing some research and finding out exactly what the program is offering, you can go to the WorthPoint site. And let me get the screen here up. So this is the main.
Well, that's one of those Pennsylvania Dutch phrases, to get the screen here up.
The screen here up, yes. So on the dashboard over here, on the very right side, you've got the facts, and then right next to that is the reserve your shares. If you click on that link, it'll take you to a page.
I didn't see that there.
You didn't see that?
No, I didn't. Where were you clicking there? Go back to the home page.
Yeah, let me back it up.
Either that, or it didn't blow up on my screen properly.
Well, my cursor, I think, may not be working.
No, where did you go? Because I said research and value would start now. I see that.
Okay, so this white band. So you got value it, research it, membership benefits, news and resources, and then reserve shares.
Oh, I see it up there at the top. I missed that.
Yes, right. On the white band. So if you click on the reserve shares, it's going to take you to a page. It's got a little commercial talking about WorthPoint, and you can fill in your name and your email address with a phone number, and the number, the amount that you might be interested in investing in the company, and you can submit that, and then scroll down, and it's got all the little details about what WorthPoint
now,
is.
Is there a minimum number of shares you have to buy?
I really don't know that answer, Harry.
but we will have Will Seipel.
That's right. Next week.
WorthPoint on next week to talk in detail about this.
That's right. Yeah, we're planning to have Will on next week, and he can give us all the details. But I wanted to let everybody know that this offer is out there, and by your name and your email address, you're not committing to do anything. You're just asking for more information.
Essentially, that's right.
Yeah. So it's not, you're not committed to anything if you fill out that box and send it in.
Right, but we hope you will be once we get the thing if it goes well. There's a lot of interest so far.
Over the last, I guess it's been about a week and a half that they've actually rolled out the testing the waters phase, that they've had a really, really nice response.
Yep.
So they're happy about the numbers.
All right. Well, there we go. Another week of WorthPoint, another session of WorthPoint Chats with Harry Rinker is over.
That's right.
And if it's not, I'm done. So I can hang up. No.
So next week we're going to be you're going to be broadcasting from a exotic location.
I'm broadcasting from Washington, D.C. I'm going to be down there for the Citizen Stamp Advisory Committee meeting, advising away. What's that?
Is that quarterly or biannually?
Quarterly, yeah.
Quarterly. Okay.
Yeah, there's a banquet that night, so I'm hoping hoping I can get back to the hotel by 9. But we'll get, if not, we may be 10 or 15 minutes late, but we'll get there.
Yeah, that's all right, and it'll always be on the WorthPoint YouTube channel to watch later.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you have a great week, and talk to you next week from Washington.
All right, Harry. Have a good week.
You bet.
All right. Bye-bye.